Hi, I'm Melanie from Nova Scotia, Canada, and welcome to week 14 meals of Adventures in Groceryland. This is a $21 per person budget, and there are two of us. We are focusing on a low spend January, so that means each week we are looking to lower that $42 budget even more. Any money that we save, we are setting aside, and we are going to use the total balance to create a wonderful charcuterie board for Valentine's Day. We had some great meals this week. Check out what we had. For supper tonight, we have leftover veal flank, root veggies, and rice. Morning Glory muffins. They consist of zucchini, carrot, and apple. And I had pre-prepared all of those wet ingredients in the freezer, and all I need to do is add the dry ingredients and bake. The finished Morning Glory muffins. I got a dozen muffins and a little loaf, and I'm going to freeze the loaf for later. Today for lunch, I am going to make wraps. This is what is left over from that veal flank, the last flank. I am going to pull that apart. I'm going to use lettuce and tomatoes, and I pulled out the barbecue sauce and the Dijon mustard. I'm not sure which of the two I'm going to use yet, and I'm going to put them on the last two of those wraps. So I'm excited about this. And here they are, two wraps. Last week I froze half of the taco mixture. Actually, it was 2 weeks ago, not last week. 2 weeks ago, I froze half the taco mixture. So tonight, we are having Taco Tuesday. Leftover veal flank, veggies, and rice. I had originally made these little packages up for lunches, but I think we're just going to eat them for supper tonight. So we're making popcorn for a snack for the first time. I bought it several weeks ago. So I used our air popper, and down here I let the handsome one choose what kind of seasoning we want to use on top of it, and he chose one that he got for Christmas, the white cheddar. And in this little container here, I used my grinder to grind up some of that salt that I had. It was really difficult. It wasn't coming out of my the salt and pepper grinder wasn't coming out of the salt grinder well. So I ground it. It's very powdery now, probably too powdery, but we are going to have salt, white cheddar seasoning on our popcorn. I didn't take a before picture. It is homemade bread and the last of the turkey soup. Tonight for supper, I'm using the pasta sauce that I had prepared and was in the freezer, and one of the bags of meatballs. And we are going to have some type of a pasta with meat sauce and meatballs. Spaghetti, meat sauce with meatballs. For lunch, leftover spaghetti. I'm making nachos for supper tonight. I'm not sure if you guys remember when I did up a little bag, and in it, so this was a half a pound of hamburger, but I divided it into a quarter of a pound and a quarter of a pound. This didn't just slide right out, but I was easily able to pop it out. So I'm definitely going to do that again in the future. I cooked the ground beef and added some taco seasoning to it. On top of this is mushrooms, some of the orange pepper, onions, the rest of my black olive, some of the jalapeno peppers that I had frozen, and they are on hint of jalapeno Tostitos. I actually thought I bought hint of lime. So, oh well, I've never had this kind before. I'm sure they'll be good. And you will see the finished product. We're making guacamole, and we'll serve it with salsa and sour cream. Nachos. I'm making some grilled cheese for lunch. You can see here that I had to salvage the bread. The end pieces got a little bit of mold on them where my fingers had touched them, so I had to be creative to get that last slice. But we're going to enjoy grilled cheeses for lunch. Grilled cheese sandwiches. Today I'm preparing the cornbread, the package that had been opened. I have it here mixed together and I'm letting it rest because it is gluten-free. And even though you don't have to let gluten-free batters rest, they actually cook better when you let them rest about 20 minutes before you put them in the oven. I am doing them individual in these little muffin forms. So it'll just be like fancy at a restaurant, like say you go to Montana's and you get a little cornbread on the side. They'll be individual servings. And if I decide I want to freeze some of them for later, they freeze really well too. I like having those individual sides. So this is what it looks like. I am going to bake it and then it'll be ready to have with whatever meals we want. This is how my little cornbreads turned out. It looks so good. Very excited. Okay, for supper tonight, I'm gonna make chicken stew. I'm gonna use this meal solution pack. This is one of the packages of turkey that I did up and put in the freezer. I actually found these 4 potatoes in a bag, tucked in the back of my actual pantry. They were sprouting really bad, so I am just bringing them in and I'm going to use them up. They're pretty soft, but they'll be fine boiled and in with my stew. And I'm going to use this bag of frozen veggies that I prepared in the summer. So this is going to make a delicious stew. Home-style chicken stew is incredibly easy to make stovetop. This is some turkey that I took out of the freezer. I had froze it from a turkey that I made earlier last week. This is just some potatoes and mixed veggies that are boiling. Once they are cooked, I'll drain them. I'll mix the chicken in with the veggies. You mix 2 cups of water in with the meal solution, stir that up, mix it all together, bring it to a boil together in the pot. And when it's been boiling for a little bit, you add in a cup of frozen peas, you stir that in, and it's literally ready to serve. Couldn't be easier. And here it is. It was just that easy. For supper, turkey stew and cheddar jalapeno cornbread. I'm getting the beans ready to put into soak. We decided to make 1/3 of the package of beans. We think that even a half a pack is just too much for the 2 of us. So I'm gonna soak these overnight and we are gonna have baked beans tomorrow. And this is what they look like after I soaked them all night. They look good. This is what they look like before they go into the oven. I had to boil the beans after they soaked overnight. So you boil them for 5 minutes and then simmer and mix all of the ingredients together with the beans very carefully because the beans are tender now that they've been boiled. I have cut up the fat that I saved off of my Christmas ham, put that in with them. You cut up an onion and you just lay the onion on top. I'm going to cover this with tin foil. Normally I use a roasting pan with a lid, but this is only 1/3 of a batch, so I definitely didn't need that roasting pan. This is just my loaf pan, and I'm going to cover it with tin foil, and that'll work. We are going to have smoothies for lunch today. I've been meaning to make smoothies ever since I got the yogurt. Way to use up some of the fruit that's in the freezer. I keep forgetting to bring the bananas out when I do my leftover items because I have them in the freezer downstairs. So we'll see what we can make. I'm probably going to throw some spinach in this as well, and I'm sure it'll be great. I added a little bit of milk. I didn't actually put any blueberries in. I forgot that this yogurt was blueberry flavored. I'm probably going to have to add water. This is probably going to be pretty thick. And yeah, excited. They were a nice bright pink until I added the second handful of spinach in. Here's a little peek. Since I'm making beans and we are having ham, I thought brown bread might be a good idea. This is so far what it looks like. It's really big. We got 45 minutes left, so just about perfect timing. I'm not quite sure what is going on with my bread. This bread rose so much that it baked all to the inside of the lid of the bread maker. This is the second week in a row. So last week I made a recipe that I'm very commonly make. It was honey oat. And this week this is brown bread, and I have it on a recipe card. So it's not new. It's not like I deviated in any way. The ingredients are the same. I'm not sure what is going on, why it's rising so much. I'd love anybody's feedback. I'm not a super experienced bread maker, so if anybody knows of a reason of why this is happening or what I could do, I will say that the weather here has been drastically cold. So we've had temperatures in the -25s. I'm not sure if that has anything to do with it, or if barometric pressure would have anything to do with it. Sounds crazy, me just even saying it, but I don't really know what else it could be. So I'd love some feedback. I reheated the ham by just putting it in this little baking dish with some water and popping it in the oven. Here's the baked beans. They look really good, nice and dark. We made coleslaw. I say we. The handsome one made coleslaw and potato salad. And here's the brown bread, and it's still warm. I just took it out of the bread maker. Oops. Looks really good. This is ham, baked beans, potato salad, coleslaw, and cranberry sauce with homemade brown bread. We've now finished week 14. This is everything left available to us. That is a fridge item. We have the leftover mayo, cheese whiz, garlic, pasta sauce, olives, cherry tomatoes, sour cream, yogurt, the dilled carrots. We've opened those and we've started snacking on them. Here we have spinach and tomatoes, 2 3/4 peppers and a half an onion. I've moved the peppers to the front here out of the drawer, just as a reminder to me that I need to get these used up. In the back there are 2 prepared lunches. Those are leftover ham, beans, and potato salad. A little bit of gravy left over from last week in that container. In the front here is the couscous, the feta cheese, and the tzatziki sauce, the full pack of bacon, and 1 full dozen eggs. On the left here, the big rectangle container has leftover turkey stew, and that is going to be for a supper one night this week. And then in the round containers, those are prepared lunches, which are turkey stew. We have pulled the English muffins out of the freezer, and in the back, the only thing left over from that little cluster that I had there, I've moved the rest into its proper places in the fridge, as the bacon bits, and we have access to that now if I so choose. Bottom here, we have the cherry tomatoes, 1.5 packages of radishes, some mushrooms, some lettuce, 2 carrots left. There were a few more. I've got them out. I'm preparing a soup. I'll show that later. The avocados there in the back, still 3 clementines, a small piece of cabbage, 1 parsnip, and some onions. Door items, we have water in the red jug, pickles, ketchup, milk, salsa, barbecue sauce, Dijon mustard, soy sauce, teriyaki. You can see tucked in the back there, we have opened up one of the bottles of barbecue sauce that the handsome one got from Santa, regular mustard, the coleslaw dressing that was merged in, lemon juice, the Parmesan, and the relish. I moved them from that bottom right-hand corner into the door. Also items that were merged in. The leftover jams, lime juice, tucked in the back is that poppy seed dressing, and that's everything that are fridge items. Quite a lot left over. Pretty pleased. And leftovers, lunches and supper all ready to go. Baked items on the left in the red container, I have the leftover individual cornbread. On the right here, these are the muffins, the Morning Glory muffins, and the little loaf, which I am going to freeze. In the back here, that is leftover brown bread. And on the right, I'm drawing out some crumbs, or I guess some pieces that I cut off the brown bread that were like a little weird shaped, and a little bit left over from the honey oat bread that I had. I'm going to dry those out and grind them up once they're dried, and that's going to get added into my jar of breadcrumbs. I've also started to make a soup. It's not ready. It's not ready yet. In here is the rest of the turnip, carrots, and part of the carrots that are in here, one of the freezer bags was processed carrots, and I cleaned that out of the freezer. There's an onion, the little bag of frozen mushrooms and fennel is in here, a part of the cabbage, a sweet potato, broth, and there was, in the bottom of my container of broth, there was some pieces of turkey left. That's in here. I'm not sure if I'm going to add more or not. Oh, there are split peas in here. And my handsome one wants me to add pasta into this soup, and I'm not exactly sure what pasta we have to add in. I'm going to have to check that out. Leftover freezer items. Freezer's looking okay. It's organized. I'm able to find things. We've got some leftover egg rolls. On the right-hand side, you see the lobster, then some fish burgers. My cheap pack of chicken, that little roast, $4.83. I have big plans for that, actually. Breakfast sausages, Italian sausages, lean ground pork, 2 pork chops. That is a freezer pack with cold cuts in it for pizza. On the left, it is 2 marinating steaks, meatballs. In the back here, you see my bear burger, the hot dogs, and then from the back forward, 1 pound ground beef, ½ pound ground beef, and a 1/4 pound ground beef. I was really pleased how this worked out for on top of the nachos. That was the first time I did that, and I'm going to continue to do that. You don't need a lot on nachos. And then I've got the leftover chicken fingers. That is a chicken breast and a chicken breast, and then turkey, turkey, and turkey. For veggies, I've got broccoli unopened. I have the corn unopened. I don't think I opened that. And then I have this leftover processed corn, spinach, the Oriental mix, that is unopened. I have the processed jalapenos and the processed green onions, more corn. And then on the top here, I have the processed wet ingredients for Morning Glory muffins. And I actually made one of those packs this week. It was super easy, and I'm glad that I did that. I just thawed it and then added the dry ingredients, baked. It turned out great. On the bottom there, this is a fajita pack, so it's peppers and onions, and this pack is just peppers cut. I've got the kidney beans, the black beans, apples, raspberries, and blueberries. One full bag and about 1/3 of a bag now with scraps for broth. 8 buns still not used. Enough left of those little taters for maybe 1 meal. Broth, cheese curds, wonton wrappers. And then these are 2 bags of, it's just the broth, like the drippings from when I made the turkey. There was a lot of it. So I bagged it up actually into 3 separate bags. And I have already taken one out. I am gonna make a soup to have for some meals for next week. So it's looking good. It fits in the freezer okay. And I'm starting to eat stuff down. What did we eat down this week? Well, definitely one of those freezer packs full of the Morning Glory wet ingredients. One of the things of 1/4 pound of hamburger, meatballs, the pasta sauce that was frozen. We used that this week. Yeah, so, oh, that, oh no, that was last week, the veal flank. But I'm happy with how we're eating things down. So some of the older stuff is coming out. My pantry supplies or dry goods are getting really full. In the back, you can still see some of the Rice Krispies. I have goldfish crackers left still. Molasses. In the back here, we have the Bisquick, the dried cranberries. There are 2 or 3 shells left in the open box of taco shells. There's a sealed box in the back. Then there's the fajita kit. We have in the back there is baking soda or baking powder. I'm not sure which one. It's sitting on top of the breadcrumbs. There's 2 things of honey. Right there in the front, you see that garlic powder that I made from the dehydrator, and sitting on top of it in the little container with the little blue lid is onion powder that I made, red pepper flakes, a little bit of yeast left, some pizza spice, the poultry seasoning, Italian seasoning, ground cinnamon. I'm not sure I can't remember if this is taco or chili. I think it's chili. This is cumin. And one of the things that I have noticed since I've been doing this, when I've been keeping the spices in those little bags that come from the bulk barn, they lose they're not sealed properly and they lose their intensity. So I've actually taken my Farmer John's Summer Savory. It's inside this little container. I'm gonna have to do something better. I don't want to lose the spices that I have. I need to store them properly. And that's a big thing about pantries. You just have to make sure that you're storing your supplies properly if you have open boxes. So you'll notice when we get down here that my crackers are in an airtight container here. My croutons are in an airtight container. My flour is airtight. My macaroni is airtight. Most of the things that I have are in these containers because in the past, I've made mistakes and I've lost items. You know, how disappointing is that when you save the money, you buy some crackers? Because obviously crackers are not necessary in my diet. That's not a basic food. It's a splurge item. But then you go and you open the box and they're stale. So long ago, years ago, I don't know, 15, probably even 20, I decided to not let that happen anymore. I work hard for my money. I don't want to lose the items that I have to spoilage for whatever the reason, whether it is perishable items in my fridge or non-perishable items that just go stale because I didn't store them properly. So that's a big thing. Let's get back to this. My evaporated milk here in the front, so canned milk, tomato soup, mushroom soup. In the back is olive oil, mayo, canned mushrooms, diced tomatoes, crushed pineapple, a can of tuna, 2 things of Kraft Dinner, pizza sauce, I think, and tomato paste. And then it didn't fit for my video, so I'll put it back in here now. My beef broth. On the bottom is my flour, and I'm gonna have to think about doing something, perhaps not next week, but maybe the week after for flour. I'm getting down to the end. Half a box of lasagna, the macaroni noodles, the leftover wild rice. This is my leftover brown sugar. We've opened the popping corn, split peas, the Jacob's Cattle Beans. And again, shout out to Webster Farms. They're a local company. I absolutely love their beans. And if you've never made them in the past, the best recipe that I've ever used is the one on the back of their bag. You can buy them at a lot of the local stores. You don't have to go to the farm. You can buy them at Foodland. You can buy them at Avery's, and just follow that recipe right on the back of the bag. This box is that box of sugar. And I haven't opened it up and taken a video, but I have opened it up and I have ground it up. And I'm learning how to do it a little bit better. I've also ground up some of that salt that I bought. That's another story. I'm still not a true success story, but I'm working at it. Leftover potatoes. Those are the sweet potatoes. I still have that one full bag of Rice Crisps. The problem with doing this in my entryway, because I've been keeping all of my supplies that I've purchased on the challenge separate from my actual regular pantry, is that it's my entryway and it's winter time, and so sometimes snow comes in, and I had the Rice Krispies box sitting on the left and it got wet and the box opened up, but the package was still sealed on the inside, so it was okay. I still have 2 squashes left and a pumpkin. And then I'm trying to organize these because every single time I come out here, the stuff is falling off of the shelf everywhere. So I just got, for now, I'll have to do a better solution. These are the meal solutions that I have here. Veggie burger, pulled pork, gravy. And again, cheapest place to buy these little packs of gravies is at the Dollarama, because you can get 2 for $1.25, and you get it on sale at any of the other stores. The cheapest is $1. So definitely a good buy. And the spinach and artichoke, half of this beef and broccoli, mac and cheese, and the opened Alfredo. So I need to do better with my storage. I need to figure out some different ways. I'm still using those spices, even though I found that they're not as potent as what they were. So I know I can do better.
And that's a wrap, folks. Week 14. I've gone back and I've watched all the videos from week 1 through 6. And it's really empowering to see how much food that I have when you consider that I started with nothing, just with salsa, jam, maple syrup, and some condiment packs from some fast food restaurants. And when you look now, when you think, like, I had to spend 10 minutes organizing that little shelf in my entryway before I could even take the video, because there's just so much food. And I have been allocating food or resources away from pantry stocking for a huge portion of the adventures in Groceryland. In the beginning, I was setting it aside for Christmas treats. And now I am reducing the budget to go towards a Valentine's Day charcuterie board. So just think how much food that we would have if every week I just spent the $42 and stocked my shelves. It's pretty powerful when you think about that. Anyways, thanks so much for following along. If you like the videos, I hope you hit that subscribe button. And happy shopping, everybody.